What's up everybody, welcome back to Ask Dan Anything, and this is part 2. I haven't done a part 2 before. This is part 2, a sequel to a video I did on one-itis. So to catch up, for those of you who haven't seen the prequel, or whatever you call it, part 1, one-itis is when essentially a guy gets a adult crush on a girl, and it's very obsessive, and it's very fictionalized. The way the girl's represented in the guy's mind doesn't accurately represent who she is in real life. It's kind of an obsession based on neediness and a fear of connecting with people in a real way. That's long story short. But I've been speaking to a few people, clients of mine, one guy named Simon, a couple of others, where they've experienced one-itis relationships, as I often have, these kind of friend zone things that happen, and they want to know what's happening on the girl's side. Who are these women who get into these one-sided, bizarre friendships that aren't really friendships at all? So I thought I'd tackle that today to help not only help the guys who get into these relationships understand how that's allowed to happen, how they're invited to get into this obsession, and also for the women who believe that they have nice guy friends, to have a deeper look at themselves and understand the true nature of these so-called friendships. In my experience and through my little informal investigations, I've found there's two types of girls in general that get into these relationships. The first type are blatant users. So these are narcissistic or psychopathic women who target men that they can use and abuse. And this is a very small fraction. A lot of guys like to convince themselves that this is a huge fraction, that they're being used and taken advantage of, but that's simply not true. Most of the girls I've met who have been engaged in these kinds of one-itis relationships are actually lovely girls on the surface. They're not trying to use anyone. In fact, the story they tell themselves is they're trying to be compassionate. I've noticed one other key factor seems to be that they often have very few female friends. Now, this isn't consistent. There are many exceptions to this. But I've noticed they have a tendency to collect male platonic friends, which is, there's nothing wrong with it, but it is unusual. It is unusual to have a platonic friend who could be sexually interested in you. And usually somebody has to give up, sacrifice their sexual attraction in order for a friendship like that to occur. So they tend to, the kind of girls who end up with nice guys tend to do so as repetitively as the nice guys do themselves. So for every one-itis guy, there's a girl who's having one-itis relationships with other guys over and over again. So the pattern goes on both sides. Both the guys and the girls repeat this behavior. The big question first up comes, are they aware of the attraction? Do these girls know that these guys are actually interested in them? When I have interviewed them, and I've talked to many girls, they say no. And yet, some of these have been girls that I've known well. It's very difficult to believe that they're unaware. And so what I've come to the conclusion is that they are forced, it's forced naivety. They're convinced themselves that they're unaware that the other guy's attracted. Because one-itis guys are so obvious, right? They're so subservient and pleasing, and they spend so much time and attention on their one-itis girls that you'd have to be a moron not to realize that they have attraction. Or you would have to systematically convince yourself that they don't have attraction. I think that's what happens. I think these girls want so badly for this to be a platonic relationship that they convince themselves that it is. I finally have a guy friend, they tell themselves, and they cling to that belief by ignoring all the obvious signs that the guy's more than just a friend, or trying to be more than just a friend. So we have to look, why would they engage in such an unhealthy relationship deliberately? Why would a girl welcome an obsessed guy who's bashing his head against the wall because he's unable to express attraction or act on it? Why would she let this happen, a seemingly lovely girl? Well, let's look at what the nice guy provides. Validation, attention, he's a good listener. He provides a service, he's often doing things for her. And he gives her hope that guys can be great. There's a lot going on there, isn't there? The nice guy provides a service. You could charge for this shit. It makes you feel good about yourself. So if that's the service that they're interested in being provided with, you've got to ask, what's the need? So underneath the need for validation and attention, to have someone pay attention and listen to you, to have someone do nice things for you, to have someone prove that guys could be nice, what we see underneath this is that you get to confirm that you are attractive because you've got this guy obsessed with you. You get to feel important because you take up his whole world. You get to feel interesting because he listens to you. You get to fill a space where a boyfriend could go. I've noticed almost without fail that once the girl in the one-itis relationship gets a real boyfriend, the nice guy is discarded or left alone. He isn't really a friend, he's just filling a space. And there's no consequences to bitching to a nice guy. A lot of the girls I've talked to in these relationships have had bad experiences with opening up to female friends. They've been betrayed, the information's been spread. But guys don't chat like that. Guys don't gossip like that. Or at least these kind of guys don't. So you're safe in kind of opening up to them. They become like a kind of a counselor with a non-disclosure agreement attached, whereas it's harder to trust other friends with that. So I want those of you watching to recognize and realize that it's like what Dr. Glover says in the book No More Mr. Nice Guy. You can have two unhealthy people in a relationship, or you can have two healthy people in a relationship, but you'll never have one of each. So if the guy is bringing all this baggage and issues and insecurities and fucked up warped perspectives into the relationship, you better believe the girl is too. She's as needy as he is. Her needs are simply a little bit different. Well, actually, they're very similar, isn't it? Validation, attention, feeling important. This is what the nice guy's trying to achieve as well. Both of them are coming together in their unhealthiness to create the illusion of connection, the illusion of being together. The guy wants that to be sexual, the girl wants it to be platonic, but the same needs are being met. I'm important, I'm special, someone loves me. As you can see, this isn't exactly a healthy beginning or a healthy foundation, and it's definitely not a healthy practice for how to have a relationship. The solution, as I keep talking about, is for the guy to openly express his attraction and for the girl to confirm that she does not have it. This way it allows the relationship to either develop into a real friendship where everything's out on the table and now you can talk about the darkness and there's going to be no needy trying to get and trying to hide from each other. Or you go your separate ways because you realize that without sexuality there isn't really a connection. I don't know how this might help, but it's just been my totally personal, opinionated observation of these situations. I've interviewed girls who I was in one-itis connections with in the past and asked them what was going on their side. And of course I've known many girls who have been with the nice guy clients I have and so on and so forth. That's where all this kind of assumptions come from. So I hope you enjoyed that. Send your questions through to dan@brojo.co.nz. If you think you're in a one-itis relationship, get in touch with me about coaching. I can help you develop the ability to have real, deep connections with people that you'll thoroughly enjoy and that are based on healthy reasons. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and I'll catch you next time.